Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. So this is the first video I'm ever posting and I'm kind of nervous. I have never posted before, so I hope that you all like this video. So because it's my first video, I thought I would do a reading wrap up of all of the books that I've read this year so far. If you have any book recommendations, please leave them down below because I'm in desperate need of some good recommendations, because I just want to start this video by saying that I've been in the worst reading slump ever for the past year. So I feel like I'm finally finding my way out of it, and these are the books I've read this past year. So I hope you like it. Also, I just want to start off by saying that obviously there's no hate to anyone who does like these books or to the authors. With some of these books, they weren't really my thing, which is okay because reading is so subjective. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. So the first book I read this year was The Pale Dreamer, or well, technically it's a novella, but it's a novella. It's The Pale Dreamer by Samantha Shannon, and it's the prequel of the Bone series, or the Bone season. Guys, I wrote everything down in a book. I'm so prepared. But it's basically, I do have to say, I started off with this one because it looked pretty thin, and I was like, okay, I was super intimidated, and I was like, ugh, I didn't feel like reading anything, so this is what I started off with. And I have to say, I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember I wanted to read this one because someone on TikTok said that this series is kind of like the Throne of Glass series, which is my favorite series of all time. So I was like, I have to read this. Like, I have to know what it's about. And I did enjoy this prequel. It was definitely a prequel. Like, I felt like as soon as she started talking about the main character, I was like, am I missing something? Like, I feel like the audience had like already knows the main character. So I was like, I feel like I should have read the first one first. But that's okay because it did make me want to read the rest of the series. So maybe I will. I rated this one 3.5 stars, and I'm excited to read the series. So the next book that I read is Everyone Dies Famous in a Small Town by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock, and I loved this book, okay? I didn't know what to read next, and so I just picked this up, like not really thinking anything of it, and let me just tell you, it was so good. I feel like especially in the phase I'm in right now where I'm in such a bad slump, I need a lot to get me, hooked on a book. And this one did it. It's basically about a bunch of teenagers in a small town, and it's all short stories. So the book is divided into short stories, and all the teenagers have like their own little fragment where they go through different things. There's also wildfire going on where they live. So some people are like connected, some of the characters are not. There's also a map in the beginning, I think. Yeah, and you can see like where everyone lives, which is so cute. Guys, I love it when books have maps. It's so cute. But I love this one. I love the writing. I loved like the difference in the types of the stories. I really enjoyed this one. So I rated it 4 stars, and I would recommend this one. Okay, the third book that I read was The 24th Hour by James Patterson, and I think this is like a pretty big series. Like, I feel like there's like different books, but I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I wasn't really hooked. I didn't really care about the story. It's about the Women's Murder Club, and basically these women are out eating in a restaurant when they hear a scream. One of the women is a police officer or a detective. I think a detective. And she basically goes to investigate, and there is a young woman who has been a victim of an assault. And basically the rest of the book is like her word against his, but there's also a murder that happens, and it is interesting, but I just don't know why, but I wasn't hooked. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't love it. So I only rated it 3 stars. It took me a while to get through as well. You do follow different people, but I just wasn't invested in any of the stories. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I just didn't really care. about any of the characters. Is that bad? Maybe I should give another one of the books a try. But yeah, so that's The 24th Hour. I rated it 3 stars in the end. I don't know if I would recommend. I feel like some people would love this, but I just didn't. Okay, this next one I feel like has become a staple. I feel like everyone has read this book. It's The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. And let me just start off. This was my first ever Freida McFadden book I read. And I was expecting it to be so different. I don't know why. But I remember reading this and I was like, oh, this is very like simple almost. And I was expecting it to be like a very intricate plot with like all these details and like, I don't know, I was expecting so many Easter eggs and like, I don't know what I was expecting. It just wasn't really this. Okay, I didn't hate it. Guys, I liked it. Let me just start off. I liked it. I thought the characters were fun. I mean, I was invested. This is definitely a page turner. And I would recommend it to people who want to get out of a slump or who have just started reading. But the end was so anticlimactic for me. I just feel like I didn't care. Like, I almost wanted, is this evil for me to say? I almost wanted Andrew to like win because I was like, this is so basic. Like, this can't be it. Like, there has to be like a plot twist now. Like, I don't know. So, wait, guys, I'm gonna put a spoiler warning here. I'm sorry. But this is definitely not my favorite Freida McFadden book. It was a good start though, and it was definitely better than the movie, although I enjoyed the movie, but yeah, the book is just always better in my opinion. So I rated 3.5 stars, and I would recommend it because I think it's like, it's fun, it's fine. It's not like spectacular to me, but I would recommend it. Now, this next book I loved. I really like this one. This was Never Lie, but also by Freida McFadden. I got this one when I bought The Housemaid as well. So I was like, okay, we're immediately gonna give her another shot. And this one felt so different to me. I don't know why, but I loved this book. I thought it was so good, and I really liked the end. Like, I didn't really see it coming, so I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I really like this one and I would recommend it. I maybe would recommend reading this one before The Housemaid because I feel like this one's just better. It's basically about these newlyweds who are trying to buy a house outside of New York, I think, New York City. Guys, as you can tell, I'm horrible with details, so I'm sorry. But they're trying to buy a house and there's this really bad snowstorm, so they're already on their way to the house, to the viewing of the house. So when they get there, it's so bad that they just enter the house because it's unlocked and no one's there. There's all this old furniture, and when they're there, they get snowed in and they discover that it's the house of an old psychiatrist who went missing and who never was found. And all these weird things start happening, and I don't want to say anything else, but it's very interesting. I love this one. I rated it 4 stars. And I would definitely recommend. Okay, I'm kind of scared to hold up this next book because I really didn't like this one. I think it's the age I'm at. I am not a 14-year-old girl anymore or like a teenager anymore, really. So I think that's why I didn't really like it, but it's Looking for Alaska by John Green. And I know everyone had to read this at school. I didn't. So I was like, oh, everyone's always talking about this, and I knew nothing about it. So I didn't know the thing that happens. I don't want to give any spoilers, so I'm not going to say it, but you know, the thing that happens. I didn't know that was going to happen. But when I was reading it, I couldn't get through it. I thought the characters were insufferable. Like, they were so boring. They were so, I don't know. It just felt so, I don't know. I didn't enjoy reading it, and I couldn't relate to any of it. Maybe it's just me, but would I say I don't recommend it? Not necessarily, because I don't think it's a bad book. I just think I'm not the target audience, and I think I'm in a completely different phase of life, which is also not helping. I do think it was like an impactful story. It does seem very powerful, so I don't know. maybe I would recommend it. I don't know. I'm having mixed feelings about this book. I also have not watched the show. I know that there's a show, but I haven't watched it. So I rated this one 2 stars. I'm sorry. It was only because I felt like I was finally kind of getting out of my slump, and then I felt completely dragged back down with this one. So that's why I only rated it 2 stars. It also took me like a month and a half to read. So yeah, 2 stars. Okay, now the next book I feel like everyone has also read. It is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And I did like this one. Let me just start by saying that I saw so much about this, so I just had to get it. The title speaks for itself. Like, it makes sense to let them, but I thought it was so interesting reading about the author's situations. Like, she started some of her chapters with these like anecdotes, and I thought that was so interesting because I felt like that made it a lot more relatable and like understanding the idea behind certain writing. Do I think this book changed my life? I don't think so, but I do think it was a nice reminder. I feel like a lot that she said makes sense, but you just need to activate it. Does that make sense? I don't know. I did enjoy it. I rated this one 3.5 stars because I thought it was like a good book. Like, it was like relatable, but my life wasn't changed. So 3.5 stars. I would recommend you to read it because it was very refreshing and like kind of nice to just have these reminders of like you can just choose to let them. And I think especially during the period I was in, like when I read it, that helped a lot. So The Let Them Theory. Okay, this next one is literally so random, but I found this at a thrift store. It's called Hector and the Search for Happiness. I don't know if these are like popular. I'd never seen anything about them before, but it's written by a psychiatrist, a French psychiatrist, named Francois Lelort. It's basically about a psychiatrist who has a lot of different patients, and the one thing they all have in common is that they're unhappy. They all have different lives, different, they look different everything, different incomes, but the only thing they have in common is that they're unhappy. So Hector decides to go on a world trip to find the cure for happiness and what makes people truly happy. And I really liked this one because I thought it was so funny. Like, the way it was written was so like funny. Like, it wasn't funny, but it was like little hints to the real world, because it does take place in like the real world, but none of the places he lived in were named. Like, he would say like the big city with this, or like I went to the country of this, like this, I went to the city of the actors, of the acting, or like, I thought that was so fun and I love that. And it makes it so easy to like kind of envision this world, this extreme like world, and I thought that was so fun. So that's why I really like this one. I like the writing, and I didn't think it was revolutionary. Like, I do think you could have done a little bit more with that. But overall, I don't want to spoil anything, but I liked it. I think I rated it 3.5 stars. So I would recommend it, but I feel like it's definitely a book you need to read chapter by chapter. Like, you can't, this is not a page turner. Like, you need to read a chapter a day and be like, oh, right. And then, it's just also about situations, life, like things that everyone goes through. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say anything more, but this is Hector and the Search for Happiness, which apparently has a movie. I also found that out like 2 weeks ago. So, okay, the next few books I read on my Kindle. So the first book I read on my Kindle was Fearless by Lauren Roberts, and I feel like I'm so late to the club with this one because I did read Powerless and Fearless right when they came out, both of them, but for some reason I never read Fearless. I don't know why, but I just never read it. So my thing with Powerless is I'm not the biggest Powerless fan. I did enjoy it for sure. I just never really, oh my gosh, I feel like I sound like such a hater in this video, but I just never like, when you have this like passion for a book, like I never had that with Powerless. And when I read Reckless, I was like, oh, like intrigued, but I feel like there was no plot. Like it was just fun, but it wasn't really getting me hooked. And I think that's also why I put off Reckless or Fearless for a little while, because I was like, I don't know. But I finally read it, and okay, my thoughts. I think I love Lauren Roberts. I think she is so fun and I love her. I just am not the biggest fan of her writing. I think this book was very YA, which I don't think is bad at all. But I just feel like more could have been done. Like, I feel like there was a lot of buildup, but nothing ever happened. Like, for those of you who are not familiar with the story, it's basically about this girl called Peyton who lives in a world full of elites, which are people that have like powers of some kind. And she's an ordinary, but ordinaries are very looked down upon and they don't really have any rights. A lot of them don't have very good endings of their lives. So she basically fakes it till she makes it and pretends she is a psychic. I don't want to say anything more, but she basically gets elected by the king to be in these trials. And she sort of sparks up a romance with the king's sons. I'm not going to say anything more because I don't want to spoil anything. But the third book, it was very much like something, like the chapter would end like so like build up, and you would be like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Turn the page and it's already over. Like it's like one chapter like, oh, this happened, and then you're like, oh, like all this build up, or at least that was my experience. So I felt like I was never really being fed, you know? So that was my thoughts on Fearless. So I think I ended up rating it 3.5 stars. I didn't write it down, so I'm not sure. Around 3.5 stars. It didn't stick out to me. So that was my thoughts on Fearless. I am really excited for the show though. The one thing I loved about those books were the characters. I really liked the characters and how like distinguishable they were from each other, how they had like their own thing. I enjoyed that. So I'm excited for the show. Okay, the next books that I also read on my Kindle were A Bunch in the Edens series. For those of you who know me, which probably not a lot of people, I love the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. I love them. And I had been looking for something kind of similar in the way of like family oriented and like the found family trope and like the ranch. I love it. So these had been on my list on my TBR for a while, but I just never read them. And then the other day I was like, okay, I'm just gonna select something off my Kindle, and I happened to have this one on there, so I was like, I'll just read the first one. And I started it, and I think I read it in like a day. I loved the first one. It's called Indigo Ridge. It had a kind of murder investigation, which I loved. The book is about Winslow, who moves to the small town her family is from originally, and she moves there to become the new chief of the town. Her first night there, she meets Griffin, who is an Eden and who has a ranch in the town with his family. Basically, things are very good between them, and they end up having a one-night stand, and they think that they'll never see each other again. And then the next morning, a girl is found dead at the bottom of a cliff on his ranch, which is like so heartbreaking. And everyone in the town obviously wants to know what happened. And turns out a bunch of girls before her had committed suicide in very strange ways. And it's basically Winslow's job to find out what happened to all these girls, while also having to work close to Griffin because obviously the murder occurred on his ranch. So that's kind of the premise of the book. And I loved this one because I have never read like a cowboy-y book where there's also like a creepy mystery side plot. Like I loved that. So I would definitely recommend if you like it, and if you only like more the ranch side of things. The rest of the series is also very different. So basically all the Eden's siblings have their own book, and then we move on to the second book. I rated Indigo Ridge 4 stars, by the way, but the second book is Juniper Hill, which is also by Devney Perry, and this is about Griffin's brother, Knox, who also lives on the ranch. and he has this studio close, like right next to his house, that's available. So their sister Eloise runs the hotel in town, and she's looking for new cleaning ladies, and this girl and a single mother called Memphis wants to move all the way to Quincy, which is a town that the books are set in, from New York City, while she has a 2-month-old son, to work at the Eloise, the hotel that the Eden family owns. And she doesn't have anywhere to stay, so Eloise asks her brother if she can stay in the studio next to his house. So you already see what's happening here. Something starts brewing there, and it's so interesting because Knox is a chef at the hotel where Memphis also works, so it's like super fun. And I think what I loved about this book was that there was a child, which, guys, I don't usually love like the pregnancy trope. Like, I'm okay with it, but it's not like my favorite. But oh my gosh, this book was so good. I do think something was weird in it, but I don't want to say it right now because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, I can make a separate video about that if you guys want me to. Just let me know. I did also rate it 4 stars. And then we move on to the next book, which is Garnet Flats. Guys, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Okay, I just want to start off. I loved the first 2, okay? I loved the first 2. I feel like the first 2 were right up my alley with the tropes, the characters, like the setting. Everything was great. But this one, no, I really didn't like this one. Okay, I just want to say, I don't think this was a bad book. I think it was a pretty good book because I hated it. Or I didn't hate it. I don't want to be dramatic, but so this book is about Talia, who's also one of the Eden sisters. And 7 years ago, the love of her life broke her heart in college, and she told no one about it because he is a UFC fighter. I don't know, that's not why she didn't tell anyone, but she just never told anyone. And then he went on to be a UFC fighter in Las Vegas. And her family is like really geeked out and like fan of him, and not knowing that he literally broke her heart. I don't want to say why he broke her heart or how, because I think it gets explained in the book. So I'm not going to say anything, but I just don't love the groveling. I really don't like second chance romance. And I think that's also why this wasn't for me. I just feel like it wasn't enough. And I feel like she was turned so quickly. And I was just like, girl, you need to make him work for it. And he just wasn't. And that really made me mad. And like, once you hear why he broke her heart or how, I'm like, that's it? Like, that's the reason you have, like, for breaking her heart? And it made me so mad. But I think that's why it's a good book, because I was so mad. So anyways, that was my opinion on Garnet Flats. I rated it 3 stars because I did read it pretty fast. I read it in like 2 days. But I didn't like the characters. I just think Talia deserves so much better than Foster. Foster is the man who broke her heart, the UFC fighter. So this one wasn't for me. I don't think I'll be rereading this. I think this is definitely a skip for me when I ever do a reread of this series. This is gonna be a skip. Okay, then this next book is kind of crazy, but I wanted something kind of different. I wanted to take a break from the series, so I read something completely different. I read this book, and if you know this book, you know that this is crazy. This book is called Tender is the Flesh. It's by an Argentinian author, Agustina Basterica, and this book is a dystopia. Okay, this is basically, it's a world where animals were infected with a virus and they are not safe to eat anymore. And obviously the world loves meat. People love to eat meat, and there was a lot of uproar and rage and all these things happening. And somehow cannibalism was legalized and people started eating human meat. The people were divided into prey and predators, and people started being grown and born and created to be slaughtered, which is crazy. I thought this concept was so good. I literally already had me hooked because it was so intriguing to me. like what could be the reasoning behind people willingly eating meat. But this book is about a butcher called Marcos who slaughters humans, and one day he gets a present from someone. He gets a specimen of the highest quality, and he keeps her in his barn, and he slowly starts to form a bond with her. And I don't want to say anything else, but it's pretty crazy, and I've seen a lot online about the ending. A lot of people didn't like the ending and thought it was rushed, but I actually really liked it. It left my jaw dropped, and I was like, that is crazy. So I would 100% recommend this book. I loved it, which I'm not a creep, guys. I promise I'm not a creep. I just thought this was so intriguing, and I was like, jaw dropped the entire time. Like, crazy. I can't even begin to describe. Like, just inhumane, insane, gross, so gross. But I loved this one, and I rated it 4.5 stars. So I think out of all these books, it depends what genres you like, but I think I would recommend this one the most because I just think the concept is so insane, and this better not ever happen in the real world because I don't want to eat meat and I also don't want to die. So that's my reading wrap up for 2026 so far. These are all the books I've read until this day in May, and this was my first ever video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I thought this was so scary to make, but my amazing friends encouraged me to start this channel because I love books and I feel like I have no one to talk to about them. So if you have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts down below because I love chatting and yapping about books. So I will also link my Goodreads down below, and you can all follow me and I will follow you back and we can see what we're reading. If you made it to the end of this video, wow, I'm so impressed because I talk a lot. So let me know what you thought of the books, and I will see you guys next time, I guess. If you have any video ideas, also please let me know because I don't know. I have read a lot of books. I also have a lot of books, as you can tell. So let me know what you guys want to see. So bye.